Hello people, and welcome to Tema Talks. Thank you for joining me. As you know, Tema Talks is brought to you by the Tema Conter Memorial Trust, which is Canada's leading provider of peer support, family assistance, education, and training for all of our emergency services, public safety, military personnel, and their families. Also keep in mind that the views, opinions, and endorsements expressed in each podcast episode are those of mine and my guests alone, and do not necessarily reflect the official position of the Tema Conter Memorial Trust. The last piece of administrative business is your trigger warning. As with all episodes, there are going to be some difficult topics discussed that could trigger some of our listeners. So if you have trigger issues, or if you think it may be an issue at all, do whatever you need to do to get in the best mind frame to listen so that you can get the most out of the podcast, okay? Okay. So how have you been? I can tell you that the past few days for me have been a little sketchy. As I record this, it has been a few days since the horrific accident involving the Humboldt Broncos Hockey Team, and it's been tough, and I feel kind of weird saying that because I'm not in any way involved. I don't have any family members that are involved, but it has been tough emotionally for me, and maybe it has been for you as well. I have tried to stay away from most of the social media articles and the news pieces on the event, as I find it a little bit too much and overwhelming. I just listen enough to get the facts, and that's about all I could do. I want you to know that the Tema Conter Memorial Trust has partnered with Wounded Warriors Canada and have created the Humboldt First Responders Fund. 100% of the proceeds will be used to provide mental health support to the first responders directly involved in this tragic event involving the Humboldt Broncos. So if you would like to help or find out more information, please go to tema.ca. This brings me to a subject that I want to talk to you about, tell you a little bit more about me. And it has to do with emotional connectivity. That's what I'm going to call it anyway. For as long as I can remember, even when I was really young, for whatever reason, I was very emotionally detached. I can remember, incidents when I was young, one involving a good friend of mine who was killed by his father, who then killed himself. I can remember that day at school still like it was yesterday, and I remember everybody around me crying, and I wasn't able to shed a tear there or at the funeral. I remember thinking about that, thinking, what is wrong with me? Why can't I show my sadness? And I think that originally that trait may have helped me out in my paramedic career, as it helped me not to get emotionally connected to my patients at all. However, the flip side of that is I never really learned how to emotionally connect with things. And as my career progressed and as my trauma closet kept getting more full and more full, it became harder and more difficult to connect emotionally with my life outside of work. And oftentimes would have what some may call maybe irrational or unreasonable emotional responses to things. I would have really upsetting things happen to me or to people that I care about, and I would show no emotion whatsoever. I still remember, and this often happens still, my wife will tell me something that's happened to someone that she knows, or an unfortunate story, and I'll act like I blow it off, or I'll even make a wisecrack about it, which is an old remnant, that old black humor from when I was a paramedic. But unfortunately, that black humor doesn't go over very well in your personal life. People don't tend to take that very well, and it's certainly a habit that I've tried to get out of, or really cool things will happen, really happy things will happen, happy events, and it'll be really hard for me to look like I'm happy or to act like what you may think that someone is happy would do or how they would act. I find that really hard and still do. Something that I'm working on. But now, since the PTSD and since getting help for it, now I cry at the drop of a hat. It could be a sad commercial, and I'll bawl like a baby. Heaven forbid I watch an episode of This Is Us or something like that, and I'm unfit for that whole show. Go through a whole box of Kleenex. And that brings me to this again, back to this incident with the Humboldt Broncos. People who know me know I'm a huge sports fan in general, and every day I watch Sports Center. And of course, the last few days on Sports Center, they'll have a big thing on what has happened, and I just can't get through it. I just start crying. It's just a wave of emotion. And what I want to tell you is that however you react emotionally to things is okay. Don't ever feel bad about it. Don't give yourself a hard time about it. It's okay not to be okay. It's also okay to be okay. That doesn't say anything about you whatsoever. It's just how your body reacts to emotional events. Just let it be. Let it happen however it happens. Support each other. Don't compete with each other. As I said, there's no trauma Olympics. So stop trying to enter it. Just support each other and be there for one another, and know that everybody is going to react differently. And it's okay. All right? That's my talk for this episode. Let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your feedback on that or your stories of how you deal with emotions. All right. My guest this week is Patrick Wand. He is the Quebec Ambassador for the Tema Conter Memorial Trust. He's also a firefighter, captain of the Montreal Fire Department Station 74. This is also a live chat, one that I recorded in person while at the Tema Gala back in February. So, like the one with Jamie, I think you're going to find that it has a little bit of a different dynamic. It's awesome. I really enjoyed it. I'm going to try to do as many in-person interviews as I can. Those opportunities don't come up very often for me. But when they do, I will do them that way. Because I think it's awesome. I think it's much more conducive to a good conversation. And I think that you probably feel the same way after, hearing both ways of doing it. So this was awesome. I hope you enjoy it. Let's get to it.
It was a dark and stormy night, nor'easter rolling in.
Welcome to Tema Talks, Patrick. It's awesome to finally get to talk to you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Oh, it's my pleasure. For those of you listening, this is Patrick Wand that I'm talking to today. And Patrick, for myself, who's getting to know you now, and through working with Tema, and our listeners who may not know you, give us your origin story, how you grew up and ended up getting steered towards the fire service.
Well, obviously, I was raised by a cop. My father was a cop, so technically I was going to become a cop.
Yeah, that's how it works.
I was going towards the police academy and all that, and suddenly I have a younger brother, 17 months older, younger than me.
Yeah.
And one day he said, why don't we go to try for the fire academy? So I took a U-turn, and here I am today, 26 years later, and I'm a captain for the Montreal Fire Department. So,
man,
one of my best choice, I think, I did in life, beside, like I told you the other day, beside my marriage with my wife. But
yeah,
but I think police is, in the fire department we get a bit more love by the community.
Yeah, you're right.
Compared to the police, so
you're right.
But no, it's been a great choice of career, and it's been going very well with the department. So
now, I really want to ask you about this. We don't have to stay on it very long, but after talking to you the other night, I really feel like this has helped shape who I am learning you to be. you went through a tragedy when you were very young.
Yeah.
Would you mind telling us a little bit about that?
No problem. Well, back in '83, like I said, my dad was a Montreal cop, and he had an altercation with a bad guy a few years back, and he got jumped in his knees by that guy, and after that, operation by operation, the knees blew up and all that. So I either saw my father in uniform or in a cast. And back then, it used to be the long cast, the whole leg.
Right from your thigh to your ankle.
Yeah, exactly. So I remember being young, we had that hospital bed in the living room, and my dad couldn't even go up because he was placing that cast all the time.
Yeah. So
I've seen my dad struggle, but obviously I was pretty young. I was only around 10 when the operation were going on, and And in Monday morning in '83, he saw the doctor. We never know what happened, what went on with the doctor and him and all that. But that afternoon we came back from school, and obviously being from Canada, being from Quebec, we like hockey. So me and my brother playing street hockey. My dad came out, and played hockey and everything. And that night we had dinner. After dinner, him and my mom went to the neighbor just to have a little drink with the friends,
Yeah.
And suddenly he came back home, and that night he decided he had enough. So took his gun and ended his life like that. So I was 12. It was 6 days after my birthday. Obviously, you feel the guilt. I could have done something, but you're 12. You don't really understand what went on, or well, I mean, you do, but you don't really get the whole the whole picture. So took a while, but after a while, I kind of understood that he was in pain, So I didn't really blame him, or.
That's a big conclusion to come to for being so young.
Yeah.
That's a really hard place to get to, even for the best of us.
Yeah, and I can't remember exactly, how long it took me to get there, but it was pretty quick, because I remember still as a young firefighter, when I got into the job, some old guys knew my dad, from the police department and fire department being together.
Right.
So when I came in, I was like the little Juan coming in, They all knew John Juan, my dad, the police officer, the lieutenant, but and I would hear a story of him, being like the biggest clown and, always having fun and all that. So nobody understood why he would do such a thing,
Yeah.
But like I said, I don't know where the click went on, but I never blamed him for what he did. I understood that he was suffering.
Yeah.
And I always took it that he did it for me, my brother, and my mom.
Wow.
I don't know if you understand.
No, I do.
Yeah.
Because that's what would have been, I can tell you that's what would have been in his mind. Jamie and I just finished a chat, and we talked about this specifically. That the person feels like they're doing everybody else a favor. It's their last sacrifice that they think they can make to save the family and their loved ones.
Because the little bit that we got from the doctor after the suicide, apparently they were going for a fifth operation on his knee.
Right.
And back then it was like the plastic knee that they would put in. They would replace the whole thing, and it wasn't assured that he would still walk after that.
Right.
And I love firefighting. I'm crazy about my job. It's a passion.
Yeah.
But I'll never get to the level I think that my dad loved the police department.
Really?
Oh yeah, it was crazy. I mean, he used to leave, to work in his uniform, and he wouldn't even bend down to give us a hug. We had to go on the couch to give him the hug because he didn't want to undo his uniform. He
really?
wanted to be sharp and all that. And those I still remember those images. So
Patrick, do you think that, because you said that obviously your family legacy would have been that you would become a police officer.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, on a whim, it seems like a whim, you chose the fire service and made that decision very easily and are happy about it now. But do you think that you were able to make that change? Do you think that what happened to your father and the fact that he was a cop, do you think anything subconsciously, even as soon as you had an open door, a viable option to not be a cop, do you think that played into that at all? I just thought of that now when you were telling that story.
Well, yeah.
Like it gave you that.
Now that
thank
you
you.
say,
I can go through that door.
Now that you talk about it, yeah, maybe. I don't know.
And it's not because it's not because you would have thought anything bad about his job, because you talk very respectfully of it, and you know, you have a lot of admiration, obviously, towards that job and towards your dad doing that job. So you wouldn't have had any like negative thoughts that way. But I'm just wondering if that flashed and it was a little bit of a deterrent that made it so easy for you to be okay to go into a different branch.
Yeah, it's possible. Now that you talk about it, you know, I'll probably think about it tonight. But yeah, because like I said, I have the most respect. I didn't choose firefighting because I didn't love the police or anything like that.
No, yeah, absolutely.
I see that
totally
job like probably one of the toughest job in the world. I mean,
I don't think anybody's really suited to do that job.
No. It's it's really a tough job.
It's a crazy job.
No, I guess firefighting. I wanted to go into the emergency thing, you know, and
that was a given.
Yeah, and for me, one of the nicest memory I have of my dad is sitting down on the couch and watching SWAT. I don't know if you remember that back then.
The old SWAT.
Not
the new SWAT, which is also a good show.
The new SWAT is really good, and I like that they kept the same music. You know, the intro there is.
Oh, so is that because I never saw the old one? So is that the same intro?
It's when I saw the first episode, I was, you know, fingers crossed. I said, I hope they kept the music, and they did. So every time it starts, I'm on back to being 10 years old, you know, with my dad and my brother watching SWAT and seeing those guys, you know, flip through windows, and that's what I wanted to be, you know. But now I get to do that firefighting also, you know. I put doors down, I go in with my axe. I don't have a gun, nobody shoots at me. I mean, so that's the lovely part of the job.
Now, at what point in your career did you start to lean towards becoming an advocate for mental health and PTSD?
Well, obviously, with my past and my dad, and like I said, some old firefighters knew the history, you know, because back then I worked for the Point Claire Fire Department when I started in '92 as a partial firefighter there. The old guys all knew, so every time that I would get because we were first responders also in that department, and every time that I would get a suicide, the chiefs would bring me in. Are you okay, Pat? Are you okay? And I was always okay. I never mind, you know, I was going on the call, and the more blood there was, the happier I was, you know, kind of young and stupid, I guess. Now it's a totally different thing, and I don't let my young guys see that because I understand the whole thing. But I think it was a process of knowing what the job can do, because obviously I blame my father's job for taking my father away. I mean, because everything was going well at home, you know, there was no fights, no problem, no social problems, but so there's nothing else, and he didn't leave anything, so we don't know, you know, he didn't leave any letters or anything like that, so it's up to us to build the story, you know. But knowing that the job might have killed him, I didn't want the job to do the same thing to me. And firefighting for me is easy. I think I was built to be a firefighter, but the medical part, the first responding part, the emergency calls, that takes a toll on you because it's human and human. Fire for me is like a hockey game, but medical, it's a totally other game. You know, you play directly with the people, and you know that they're always in pain. It never goes well when they call you. So you know, it's been going on for a while, but basically getting really towards that mental thing there, I would say like maybe 10 years ago. And the big change was obviously Flashpoint. I don't know if you remember.
Flashpoint, my favorite show.
Well, I
love it.
We'll probably fight for being the #1 fan, but
we wouldn't fight. You probably win the fight.
I'll
give you a go though. But yes, you might.
But Flashpoint, watching what those guys, it wasn't only a police series, you know, it was the whole PTSD, the whole suffering behind it, and you could have taken firefighters and put them in that same.
That was the first emotionally heavy show that I saw about emergency services.
Yeah, totally. That one and Third Watch. Third Watch back then was really, but it was rough. It was more American, if you want. But Flashpoint brought that thing where you could see the pain of the guys.
You really could.
Yeah, and so that got me going a bit, and I fell in love with Sergeant Parker. I mean,
Absolutely.
that guy on that episode, Enrico, what he was doing with that, I always said that he had a father figure, and that's a bit the way being a captain on my team, that's what I try to do. They're my boys, that I try to take care of them. I don't want them to see pain for nothing, and so I would see stuff that Parker would do on TV. I said, damn, I just did that last night, or maybe I should do that tomorrow, So I kind of fell in love with the whole thing, and I started to follow Enrico on Twitter, and I saw that he was involved with Tema. Okay. So I started to look out what was Tema doing and all that. And back then they were starting to raise money to do the movie On the Other Side of the Hero. Right. So the Vaughan Fire Department had given money to support the making of the movie. Right. So I turned around right away and I went to our union and I said, look, we got to at least put the same amount of money that Vaughan Fire Department did. Right. So the next day, I think my lieutenant, that is the VP of the union, said, okay, Pat, it's done. We're going to send the check to. So we got involved like this. And after they received the money, the crew with Karen and Mark from the movie, they wanted to come to Montreal. So the union said, well, you need to go to Station 74 because that's where the demand came from. And that's how we got involved with Tema and all that. So, but the movie was a good experience. Not only a good experience, but I think good therapy for my team because we got a very, very close team. I mean, family know each other. We all say it's 74-3 is a family. But when those guys came, the way Enrico and Vince Savoya talked to the whole team, right? I mean, they were 2 days with us at the station, and it was full therapy. I saw guys on my team talk like never they did before. And even if I try to talk a lot, sometimes they want to be tough in front of me, and I want to be tough a bit in front of them. We don't want to show any witness. But
when they see Sergeant Gregory Parker in front of them talking about it,
totally different.
Oh, it's okay. That means I can do it.
Exactly.
It is. So that's how it works.
Yeah, that's what happened. So, and I'm grateful to them because in the last 4 years, and in Quebec, it's always a bit tougher than the rest of Canada. The money is always a big, big object, like everywhere else, I guess. But PTSD right now is not where it is in Ontario. In Ontario, there's already a law and stuff like that. In Quebec, they're collecting information right now. Right. I mean, they're probably 20 years late. Yeah. But at least it's going. So that's what I'm trying to do with Tema there. Put pressure on the city to take care of our guys.
And you, Patrick, you're the Quebec Ambassador.
Yes.
For Tema. So when did that happen?
Last year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, last year they named the first 5 ambassadors.
Right.
With, Angela and Larry and Corey. And Enrico being the international star. So that was pretty cool seeing my picture there with those guys. And I mean, but it's a hard job sometimes. On weeks like this, I see it in Quebec. I feel so far away from all this. Right. Because obviously of the language, Quebec being French mainly. So I got to try to push. Tema is well known throughout Canada, but in Quebec, they're starting to learn the name, So that's the job I got to do. So I use Twitter a lot, Facebook a lot, and Instagram now. So I try to push Tema as much as I can. Yeah. And it's starting slowly to get there. So
that must have mostly come about from your work on the documentary. So you mentioned it, The Other Side of the Hero, for the people who haven't seen it yet. Which, if you haven't, you have to get out and see it anytime that you can. It's showing in your area. You got to find it, and you can probably find it online as well. But explain to people about The Other Side of the Hero.
Well, it's a documentary to get people to know exactly what first responders live outside the uniform. Because sometimes with the uniform, everything looks good. Everything, we're tough. Everything's fine. It's okay. We're always okay. Right. We go home, and we're not. So basically, that's what the movie is about. And And that was special because I first opened up about my dad to my own family because my kids didn't know.
Right.
I've got two, well, I call them kids, but they're not kids anymore. They're
Yeah.
20 and 19. But
Yeah.
I didn't felt like they needed to know that Grandpa died from suicide.
Right.
And at one point I said, how stupid is that? Because dying of suicide, to me now, is not a taboo anymore. It's an
Yeah.
illness.
Yes.
You know, I cried when my dad died, and I would have cried if he would have died of cancer, cardiac arrest, accident, being
Right.
shot on the job. I would have had the same pain. But
Yeah.
that's my vision. But suicide, you know, nobody talks about it. You know, how did he die? Oh, well, we don't. So now that I'm sorry, but I'm gonna say it. That my dad died of suicide, and I'm not ashamed of it. And I don't blame him, like I told you. So the movie gave me the opportunity to talk to my kids about it.
Right.
I didn't tell them how. I didn't tell them, you know, where or what. But they know. They know that Grandpa died from suicide, and they understand. They understand that stuff happens now. So, and my son 3 years ago now, he was in the hockey sport études, and one of his buddy in his class committed suicide. One morning I got a call at work, and it was school saying that they were
Right.
taking the kids away from the class, and you know. So at that age, I still don't understand. So, but anyway, it gave me the opportunity to talk to my kids and really get them involved. So now they know what I do with Tema. They know what Tema is about, and you know, they're proud that I'm the Quebec Ambassador and all that.
Yeah.
And they understand. And what it did is now we talk about it. So my son, that was blocked a bit, I think, by losing his buddy. It was his goaltender, and sport études, you know, they're always together. You know, from class to class, they're always together. They don't split up. They go to school, then they leave school, they go to the arena. They're always together.
Okay.
So losing a buddy like this was like, wow.
Yeah, devastating.
Wow, at that age. And he was the exact same age I was when I lost my dad.
Oh.
So I could relate a bit.
Right.
I would talk, but not really talk. You know, I would tell him stuff without really telling him what the whole story was about me and my dad. But he told me after that, when I finally opened up about my dad, he said, "Dad, I knew it when we started to talk about his buddy there. He felt it." So that was the good thing about the movie, and that's what the movie is about. We need to understand what's going on. We need the guys to talk about it, and still now, I mean, it changed. I think it changed a lot. Back then in '83, the same week that my dad died, 2 other Montreal cops died also by suicide. A couple of months ago, we had another Montreal cop that was on the street, came back to the station, took our gun, and went in the locker rooms, and boom, you know. It happens. It still happens. So I want this to stop. I mean, those guys don't need to die because of their job. I mean, when you take that job, it's hard enough that you don't need to die from it.
And you know, your story was one of many that were focused on that were the focus of the documentary. After it was done and you saw the documentary, what were your feelings about it, as far as how it came out and how the finished product represented what you wanted to say?
I gotta say, that night last year, at the same time of the year they did the first screening, I was nervous like hell. I remember walking towards the cinema with my wife, and I told her, I said, I've got flies in my belly right now, because obviously you don't want anything to come out bad, but the attention that Karen and Mark and Enrico had for us that day, and Vince being there watching the whole thing, I knew everything would be good. And when I saw, it was funny because last year I really got involved with Tema. We were here 2 years ago for the gala and all that, but last year I really kind of got more involved, and obviously being named ambassador, it kind of got me to know everybody, and and you know, talking to everybody has their own problems and all that, and I kind of felt guilty last year of not having PTSD, although I think I carry a past, but I think I'm okay with it, you know. I've never had depression or anything like that. Getting older, I guess I cry more, but that's just being older and I guess experience coming in and trying to let go a bit more. But I've never been diagnosed with PTSD or anything like that. But when I saw the movie, everybody after came in and says, "How come you didn't tell us your story?" Well, for me, it's not a story. It's my life. I mean, it's just part of it, and who I am today is probably because of what happened before.
Yeah.
Like everybody, I guess. So
Yeah.
So, but I was really, really happy the way it came out.
Yeah.
And I finally showed it to my brother because me and my brother totally live the death of my father in a different way.
Right.
He's still. I'm no doctor. I'm no psychologist or anything like that. But I think he's struggling with it. I have my struggles too, but like I said, I think I used that negative thing and brought it into a positive thing. So I showed him. I was really nervous to show him, and after that, he just looked at me with a little smile and said, "It's good." So for my brother to say it's good, for me that was like $1 million. So I guess Karen, Mark, and Enrico did an amazing job putting out the story out. And
Were you always physically active? Like you're really physically fit right now. I can tell that it's really important to you. You see that as part of your job, that you need to be really physically fit. That takes a lot of discipline. Did you always have that sort of discipline? Because you seem, to me, if I were to guess, I would say yes, you probably did.
Yeah.
And that discipline, and I think that even when early on, when you were able to rationalize what happened to your dad in such an adult, mature way, very young, it shows how much, probably built-in resilience that you had because you had these outlets. You knew from early on that you had to take care of your body and your mind, probably a lot younger or a lot earlier than a lot of us do.
Yeah.
And I think that served you well, to your benefit, and and as an example of how you do need to take care of every aspect. You can't let things slide in any one area, or as you know, and we know it'll all come crashing down. And that's something I'm trying to learn now, trying to understand that every choice I make in every aspect is connected.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's funny that you say that because everything I do is always, like next month, it's going to be my birthday, I'm going to be 47. That's the exact age my dad was when he died. So on March 9th, I'm gonna be on Earth 47 years and 1 day extra than my dad.
Yeah.
So that's the way I see it all the time. When my daughter turned 12, 6 days after, I had a thought in my head. I said, you know what? She had her dad 1 day more than I did.
You broke that cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
or
the
stopped
way.
it from becoming one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's what I want to do. I want to give. I use what I didn't get.
Right.
To try to give to my family now. So, trying to stay healthy. Obviously, firefighting now, I mean, they find all sorts of illness. Cancer is killing us right now. They just, they're finding out right now that it's not only the lungs, it's the skin, it's everything. I mean, like I said, my lieutenant fights so hard right now to get us the proper, I would say proper respect.
Right.
Because our guys are one after another, they're getting cancer and all that.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to stay healthy, not to get that, so I can give more to my family. So by training and obviously I want to keep up with my young guys on my team. I mean, I can't go to fires and say, okay, guys, do this and come back to the station and go into the...
But to you, that's a no-brainer. Like to you never even question it.
No.
But when you look at, I think it's getting better, but when I look at and I'll use myself as a bad example, as not someone who has done what they should have. Being a firefighter myself, I started off in volunteer fire service. There's lots of people that don't make that choice and that don't make that connection between part of your job is to make sure that your body can do that job.
Yeah.
That's right. Like I think it's getting a lot better. I see the a lot of the younger, workers in EMS, a lot of them are taking a passion for fitness and for eating right. I think but it's been a long time coming.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, and
Totally, yeah.
You can totally see how everything unravels.
Yeah.
Very easily.
Yeah. Yeah, because everything follows. I mean, if you start being unfit to do the job, then sometimes, you're going to go to a call and maybe have a hard time doing it. And I think it can bring you those mental problem also. I never want to go on a job and let somebody die because I wasn't fit to do it.
Yeah.
I'm paid to do a job and I want to be able to do that job. So for me, it's a no-brainer. I got to be able to do exactly what people expect from me. When I get on a fire scene, they don't expect me to go on one knee and say, well, I'm tired. I can't be tired. I'll be tired after. I'll go home, then I'll be tired. But during the fire, there's no way I'm going to be tired. It's tough sometimes on my guys because, we go in and out, change bottles, or CBA, and are you guys ready? And now they know. I don't even ask them. I just look at them, Captain, we're ready. They're ready to go all the time. That's why I love that team because they're machines. It's not only because it's my team, but those guys are just incredible, and they make my job so much easier. So
well, just from talking to you today, I'm sure that they would say the same thing back to you. I think that they probably should feel that this way. I hope they do that. They are very lucky to have you as their leader.
Well, I hope so. That's what I'm giving them, and try to give them the best. So.
Yeah, they're learning so much good from you, and thank you. Thank you for taking it so personally about being a good leader.
You're very welcome, I guess.
It means a lot.
Yeah.
We have to have that. We need to have leaders that understand.
Well, I think I got a very big... My role model at home is my mom. I mean, my mom took over two young boys that could have turned totally sideways, and she kept us on the right track. I mean, we were playing hockey, soccer, baseball, doing taekwondo, all at the same time.
Right.
On two different teams, and my mom never made us miss one game because her project in life was us.
Yeah. So
now me and my wife, we raise our family the same way. I mean, everything is towards them, and I'll never be able to say, you know what, kids, I can't go to them, I'm tired, because I saw my mom do it alone. Right. My mom lost father, mother, husband in a lapse of time of approximately 3 years, and 1.5 years approximately after my dad died, she had cancer, breast cancer. Didn't even tell us, went to the hospital. We went to our aunt, and apparently we were going on a little trip to see our cousin.
Right.
Came back and learned that our mother was in the hospital, got their breast taken off. But I see that little lady there being so tough, I can't complain. I just can't. I mean, I see her go, and I say, okay. So the role model, I think, was her.
Right.
And just got to push in life. I mean, it's tough. It's okay to put a knee down, but I think you got to get up.
Yeah.
And now there's help for that. So
yeah, it's there.
And like Angela and I last year when we said that, it's okay not to be okay, but for me, because last year I told you earlier on, I felt guilty of not being PTSD'd.
Right.
But I realized it's also okay to be okay.
Yeah, it is.
Totally. And I'm lucky to be okay. And I touch wood every day, and I hope I'll keep that way. Yeah. I work on it, and I think with this team behind us, Tema there, I know if one day I don't feel good, I just can call Vince or anybody else, Angela or whatever, and I'll get the backup that I need.
Yeah.
Plus, I've got great backup at home with an incredible wife that backs me up all the time, and my kids being good, and so. Hey, life is good, so
it is.
We'll try to keep it that way.
So, Patrick, if people want to reach out to you in any way, is there anywhere they can find you on social media?
Well, Pat1 on Twitter. If you go Pat-Wand, you'll get my account there. Obviously, on the Tema.ca website, under the Ambassador score there, you can get our address and everything. You can talk to us. Look, I'm open to talk to anybody. I'm in the process of maybe getting a bit more training with Tema to be able to maybe help, because obviously having that Ambassador and that
Yeah.
logo stuck beside my name with Tema. A lot of guys now are coming to me and, can we talk? And or maybe you should talk to him. He had a rough time, you know. I'm not certified yet to do that.
Yeah.
But sometimes just to talk is enough.
It sounds like you're taking it just as seriously as you take your job as a firefighter.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And I would love to do more for Tema, but like I said, we're like 6 hours away, but it feels like it's the end of the world sometimes.
We need to spread out, though.
Well, that's what I'm doing. I'm
we
trying
can't all be in the
and-
same place.
Yeah, exactly. So, but that's what I want to do in Quebec, and I'm happy because I'm seeing little stuff, being done, especially in the fire service now. I mean, they hired somebody to work on the PTSD cause and all that. So, and they were nice enough to come to me and ask me a bit of what I was doing with Tema. So they took that, and so it's going in the right direction. And hopefully in 10 years, it's going to be something that. Yesterday I heard something that PTSD is like it's the popular thing to talk about right now.
Yeah.
Hopefully in 10 years it won't be, because it's going to be normal.
Yeah.
Somebody.
I think we'll get there. I think we're getting there.
I think so. By having guys like you and everybody jumping on the boat, I think we're gonna. The train is on track and it's going to be unstoppable. So.
No, I totally agree. So Patrick, if there's someone listening to this episode right now who is struggling in any way, if they were here in front of you, what would you say to them?
Talk. Go get help. You need to talk. I mean, I think that's what saved me. From a young age, I was able to talk about what my dad had done.
Yeah. Yeah, that was crucial. Yeah, that really shaped you.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
And like I said, I was never ashamed of it, so I was able to talk about it. And so if you need help, you think you need help, probably you do need help, so talk about it. There's lines now, Bell, the Bell Let's Talk last week was amazing. So there's numbers. You need to talk. Go get help. Don't stay alone. You are not alone. That's the main line here.
Yeah.
Hashtag you are not alone. Keep that in mind. That's the main purpose of all this.
Well said. Patrick, my brother, it has been awesome getting to know you. I just keep being amazed by all these people that I meet in Tema, all the Tema people. When I get to know them, you're all the same. You are all like the most uniquely special group of people. It's, there's no word to describe it, but after you get to know every single little piece of Tema, everyone is just so amazing. And that's why I think that, the Tema Conter Memorial Trust, along with, all the other groups, because as I was telling Jamie, some people need different things. Not everybody's going to connect with Tema, and that's okay. Yeah. We are unstoppable, and we're going to bring everybody else with us. Or that's the hope.
Yeah.
Exactly. But thank you. Please keep doing what you're doing. I'm really impressed with your level of devotion to the fire service. Any firefighters listening, I'm sure that you've enjoyed this chat. Please keep doing that. Keep being an example for first responders, specifically the fire service, because the fire service needs it really badly. The fire service is one of probably the last. They're the ones that are dragging a little bit behind because you had that extra tough mentality of having to be an extra special superhero to be a firefighter. There's been that sort of extra thing, which I think that's led firefighters to be slower in coming forward to talk. And don't stop doing what you're doing. You're a great example, and it's been great talking to you, and thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for doing what you're doing.
My pleasure.
Now my shift is finally over. I gotta deal with what's mine.
Man, that was good. I loved having that chat. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks to Patrick for taking the time out and for talking to us. When I think of Patrick now, I really think of him as the example of what a firefighter should be. Just the way he attacks the career, just how he takes care of himself, how he is emotionally. I think that's something, if you're a firefighter, I think that's something you should try to emulate. I know we're all different. We all have different ways of doing things, but in general, I think he's a great example for first responders in general, but for firefighters specifically. That's my opinion. Before we go, I just want to obviously say again about the terrible accident involving the Humboldt Broncos. There are no words. There aren't any words that adequately quantify just how terrible this incident was. And I'm not going to try to find them. They just aren't there. Obviously, I send my condolences to the family members, and I also send support to the family members, the team officials, the community, and obviously to all the first responders who had to respond to that incident. Again, check out tema.ca and have a look at their Humboldt First Responders Support Fund. These incidents, one thing I'll say is, an incident like this, I've learned to not put any effort into trying to understand it, because you won't. It's just one of those things that happen that we're not meant to understand. We just have to try to find a way to support each other and carry on, making sure that we honor the lives of the people that we lost and learn from this incident, anything we can learn from, keeping their memories with us. I want to thank you guys again for listening. You guys are awesome. Keep sharing the podcast. Keep leaving feedback and sending me comments and questions. I really love it when you do that. Remember our contest, our Facebook page contest, to get up to 1,000 likes. We're at a little over 760. And as soon as we get to 1,000, we're going to make a random draw from all 1,000 people. And we're going to give away 5 Tema swag bags. That's going to be awesome. So if you already like the page, if you could share it on your social media, try to get us some more likes, that would be awesome, as you are still in this contest. It's not just the new people. Everybody's involved. So thank you for your work on that. It's very much appreciated. And that'll wrap things up again for another Tema Talks episode. Please take care of yourself and each other. More love, less judgment.
'Cause we ain't superheroes, we're just ordinary people trying to make a difference and the first on every scene. And it's a heavy, heavy burden to carry all this hurting when you can't unsee the things you've seen. It keeps going on. When those sirens are gone, it keeps going on. When those sirens are gone.